This is almost done. You can take over.
I think it's in the work that play with joy. I think artists know that you can take a kind of an advertising sign and make something joyful and other with it. And I think it's sometimes hard for people who don't make things to understand labor and joy and attention and whimsy. I didn't really come from a fine arts background, although, I certainly went to museums as a kid. I came from a carpentry background. And I worked in Seattle building a bridge connecting Mercer Island and Seattle. It was a floating bridge that has since collapsed. But so when I went to art school about a year later, that was what I knew how to do. And I built a lattice work grid and stretched the canvas over that. That way I could sit on the canvas as I began gluing sheets of penmanship paper down. Penmanship paper for me is more about gesture. It's not so much about grammar as it is about how you make your letters. So there's this watery push and pull between the watery blue of the penmanship paper lines and then the gestural marks made inside and around them. The large works are made in a similar way as the earlier penmanship paper works in that they are built from found material. I'm basically collecting archival material from the 1930s through the 70s, these ebony magazines, Ebony, Sepia, and Our World. They were kind of manifestos in a way, and but they were magazines. They still were entertainment, and but they had a kind of urgency and a necessity to them, also a whimsy. And I'm collecting advertisements and stories and characters. And I see them as conscripts in the sense that they come into my lexicon without me asking them permission. There's still yet a specificity in each person's, I don't know, the way they hold their body, or some subtle key that says, this is who I am at this time. It seemed to me to be about identity in the most open sense of that word. No matter how uniform or how altered, it just refuses to be stamped out. When you're reading a magazine or a book, that's a particular kind of reading. It's a kind of sequential, page by page, and you remember what you've just read 5 pages ago, or you don't. But that's how you keep that information. And the reading of a painting, what I loved was this idea of opening up the pages so that your sequence was then more spatial rather than sequential. In the paintings, there are characters that repeat and recur. Peg leg is one. Sometimes there will be a compass next to peg leg. Those kind of signs are in the paintings to activate. Peg leg is both Ahab and peg leg Bates. I'm attracted to the visceralness of the body of Ahab, that wooden leg. I also like the way in Moby Dick, you're so aware of people's physical presence and the sound that, this idea of these men hearing this sort of scraping of the wood as Ahab dragged his leg across. Paintings for me functioned as a gate into the watery ecstatic realm. And then that room in the back was another kind of cabinet, a species cabinet. That work is work I made as I traveled, either in Cuba or in Senegal. And in Cuba, that's where all those colors came from. The green in particular, and the red came from this berry that you use to dye meat and rice. So the kind of coral red color came from that. They're also made by scratching directly into the paper and carving into the paper, much like scrimshaw. I liked that idea of making something so focused in this, in my case, in a new environment. And I think in scrimshaw, it's interesting to me that you would make something on a bone, so like these detailed worlds, that while you are out in the middle of nowhere trying to catch this giant monster. I think there's a way in which my interest in the water and travel in some specific ways may have to do with the idea that my family arrived here by water. My father's family came on whaling ships from Cape Verde, but the Irish came a while ago. In a way, the films do literally what I would hope people would do with the paintings in their mind. The films, they're also this grid, and it's this grid where each frame erases the frame before it as you move forward. So it's literally a projection of a grid in space, but it's in the same place over and over again. Now, the first film in Murmur that I made is Watery Ecstatic, which is made much like the series of drawings Watery Ecstatic, through thick watercolor paper, cutting into it and drawing over it. The Grid 2 Deluxe is each individual page is its own drama or its own stage. I wanted to mark him. But I certainly couldn't give Isaac Hayes a wig. I also didn't want the tattooing to obliterate his face. And his shoulders just seemed to be so beautiful to highlight. The two marks on the shoulders will be printed in black, and the face will be printed in a transparent base, sort of just an embossment over his skin. Oh, wow. So cool. You can see it from the side. Love that it's so beautifully inked that the engraving just looks like soft velvet. It's beautiful. Thank you. The necklace, which is this sort of magic constellation, is traced on the computer, and then a laser cuts all along the tracing lines. That's then removed, plucked away from the skin of the paper. This idea of repetition and revision is central to my working process. You know, this idea of stacking and layering and building up densities and, you know, recoveries. He's been altered in the way that the character that is now my conscripted Isaac Hayes should be altered to be in my lexicon. I think there is a nostalgia in my gathering of this material and looking at this material and trying to hold it still for a moment in these paintings or in the films. It's not just a nostalgia in terms of looking backwards, it's a way of imagining forwards as a way of constantly looking for home. You know, yet you're in that gesture, you're continually moving forward and continually seeing the world.
To learn more about Art21, Art in the 21st Century, and to download the free Educator's Guide, please visit PBS online at pbs.org. Art21, Art in the 21st Century is available on videocassette or with additional features on DVD. The companion book to the program is also available. To order, call PBS Home Video at 1-800-PLAY-PBS.